Welcome everybody to Arcadis Italy for INWED 2021 event. My name is Martina Padovan, part of the marketing and communication team of Arcadis Italy. I want first of all to thank Arcadis Radio Italy for giving us this space for this streaming. We are live, as you can see, from the Arcadis Italy headquarters in Milan and virtually from Italy, Belgium, and the UK. Today we will discover more about the life and work of women engineers across Arcadis and other companies, famous companies such as nell'ingegneria, de Sanctis Constructions, and RICS. The 8 speakers that today are going to talk are Claudia Scarcella, Country Manager for RICS Italy, Francesca de Sanctis, CEO of the Sanctis Constructions, Silvia Furlan, CEO of Net Engineering, Amy Carter, Arcadis UK Assistant Engineer, Silvia Gioja, Leader Infrastructures in Arcadis Belgium, and from Arcadis Italy, our CFO Irene Davi, Valeria Carfora, Business Advisor Team Lead, and last but not least, Angelica Venturi, Tender and Project Manager. Before starting this conversation, I would like to take a few seconds for a health and safety moment. It is a very common thing for Arcadians, but for those of you that are not Arcadians, health and safety moments are part of our routine in Arcadis when we start a meeting. It reminds us of what should always be at the basis of our private and professional life, so in work and outside of work. So given the heat wave that is currently affecting Italy, at least, I don't know if about Belgium and UK, maybe we can ask our speakers. I would like to remind all of you that it is important to cool down whenever it is possible during heat waves. Even if you are in a fresh place, remember to keep hydrated and avoid caffeine, so no coffees or at least decaf. High temperatures stimulate dehydration, and dehydration can lead to headaches, dizziness, weakness, and accelerate heart rate. So I hope you all have a glass of or a bottle next to you as me. And our talk is going to start soon. I would like to remind you all that there is a live chat available for you where you can see already an announcement. And we encourage that you ask our speakers questions throughout the event about what they are doing, what they said, or about other things that they didn't have the chance to talk about. At the end, there will be a Q&A session. So please, if you want to rewatch some of the moments of this event, be aware that the recording will be available on the Arcadis Italy YouTube channel. It is now time for our first speaker, Irene Davi, CFO at Arcadis Italy, that has recently joined our team. Welcome, Irene. How are you?
Hello, Martina and everybody. Good afternoon. Fine, thanks. Of the same for you.
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm very happy to have you here. So someone could say, why a CFO in this Women in Engineering event? I have to say the answer is very simple. Irene is an engineer in disguise. She gave me a unique answer when I asked her why she doesn't want to use this professional title. I would like her to repeat this again. So, Irene, why aren't you using engineer when presenting yourself?
Well, I think that the title doesn't characterize me and doesn't emphasize who I am. Definitely, I am proud of being engineer, especially for the time I dedicated for studying engineer. But I'd rather prefer to demonstrate that I am an engineer and someone else who can talk to me can understand that maybe I am an engineer simply for the results and data I provide and what I say. But definitely, yes, I'm proud of being an engineer and also saying that I am, but I never present myself as an engineer. No, yes.
So this is indeed a unique perspective as you are now the Arcadis Italy CFO. So what is the role that your education and experience as an engineer play in your current job?
Well, engineering taught me the discipline, first of all, and the resilience. But I think the most important is that engineering taught me how the approach to solve a problem, gathering a lot of data, a lot of numbers, and try to analyze those numbers and gather information to provide to someone else. So definitely, I would say that engineers help me in this way in approaching the problems and try to find the right solution, because the solution doesn't come from anywhere. This from analysis. This is definitely the most important I gather from the engineering part.
So my last question for you, now that you explained to us how engineering is part of your daily lives, is what are the factors, or the one factor, I don't know if you have one or many, maybe, you will tell us, that influenced your career and your professional path?
Well, I would say that at the beginning, when I was young and recently graduated, the humility of learning. I'd rather prefer to focus on learning instead of the salary. But definitely during the work life and the various job, I had the opportunity to meet professional people who helped me a lot, who let me grow up, and definitely who taught me a lot of information. So I was very lucky during my life. And another key issue was the training and the continuous improvement in learning through masters and courses. Last but not least, I traveled a lot. I had the opportunity to travel a lot, to work with a lot of people all over the world, and they taught me a lot. I met many engineers, and not only engineers, from all over the world, and it helped me in open my mind and to approach things and problems also in different ways.
I see. Thank you very much, Irene, for sharing with us your experience. And indeed, what you told us, the main things that traced your path are very important, but I want to focus on one, that is the support of your colleagues and people that you met throughout your life. That is, I think, a crucial factor in any type of work, but especially in engineering. So regarding this aspect, I would like to introduce Silvia Furlan, CEO of Net Engineering. So hi, Silvia, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you, Martina.
It is a pleasure to have you here. So, Silvia, let's just deep dive into what you have to tell us today. That is, Net Engineering is promoting a specific way of working, that is collective engineering. Could you tell us more about it?
Yes, thank you. Collective engineering for us is our way to approach our engineering work. Considering that we can say nobody saves himself or herself alone. Nobody in our world is able to really get to the end of a project alone by himself or herself. We have so many challenges to face, from a technical to a technological point of view. Requests from our clients, from the stakeholder communities. There are so many inputs that we need to develop and to manage, that we have to put together all the competencies, skills, experiences of a teamwork to be able to solve this kind of problem. That's why, recognizing this, we decided that our approach to engineering is through a strong focus on teamwork and this collective engineering approach.
It is actually an interesting framework that you explained to us to improve group performances and results. Although how do you enhance people's unique competencies and quality? How is the uniqueness, of a person enhanced by considering collectively a group?
I would answer thinking altogether about the images that are coming recently also from the European Football Championship. When you look at team or an orchestra, you would never say that there are no ego, there are no specific or very well-performing people, but still they are able to work together to a common goal, to a common target, and to really be in a condition in which nobody can feel alone. It's always a team work, a team approach. And for us, this means focusing on our projects, being able to find adaptive solutions because the problems that we are facing are very complex. So we need to put all together different experiences, different skills, different point of view to be able to find the right solution. And what is helping us very much in fostering the collaboration, because if we think about the stereotype of the engineer, is not someone that is keen on communication, is not really keen on collaboration. It's a stereotype, of course, but we know that we need to be very much focused on our activities, and sometimes communicate and collaborate is something that is getting on top. What we are using in our organizational transformation is a framework coming from the Agile world that is called Scrum, that is based on cross-functional teams that are self-managing. So teams are stable and projects are sliced in order to be able to go into our teams. And having a stable team is helping us to develop trust, confidence, competencies, and also to develop innovative approach, because only putting together different point of view and different experience, we can find a new solution to very complex problems.
I see. Thank you, Silvia, for your answers and for explaining us this framework that you are using. So talking about people working together, engineers working together, I would like our next guests to discuss about their daily work that is actually tunneling. Who would have thought that today? So 2 women in tunneling. So let's welcome Francesca de Sanctis, CEO of the Sanctis Constructions, and Silvia Gioja, BIM Lead Infrastructures at Arcadis Belgium. Hi, Silvia.
Hi, thanks for inviting me. Like I said, I'm Silvia Gioja. I'm BIM Lead and Digital Twins Lead of Infrastructure Department of Arcadis Belgium, where I've been working for 3 years. I am Italian and moved to Antwerp here in Belgium after working several years in Italy and in Qatar, and after gaining experience both in buildings and infrastructures projects. But infrastructures became my field of specialization. I really love it. And above all, I am specialized in using digital tools in the process named BIM, that is Building Information Modeling or Managing, to improve the quality of infrastructural projects we deliver to our clients. I am involved in various kinds of projects, but I mostly like tunnels. Indeed, this year I was awarded Best Woman in Tunneling and Underground Construction in the WISE Award competition. Beyond work and personal and professional growth, I enjoy spending time with my family and especially with my child. Furthermore, I wish to become really a reference for all those women who would like to combine a responsibility role with a mother role. Francesca, and what about you?
Hello, everybody. I'm Francesca De Sanctis. I'm the CEO of the Sanctis Costruzioni SPA. I've been appointed CEO in 2018, and I'm part of the General Assembly of ANCE, which is the Italian Association for Construction Company. I've been working for my company, which is a family business, since 2000. But before, I've been working for two of the main consulting firms in the world. I have a bachelor in business administration, and I'm a mother of three sons, three males. So it's my destiny to be surrounded by men. And regarding my company, the Sanctis Costruzioni is an historic leading Italian company in the construction sector, and has been ranked among the first 50 Italian company in Italy. Our core business is infrastructure and tunneling in particular. But six years ago, we entered the private market, and we started working for some of the most important international investment funds, so with private client. As Silvia already said, I wish I can be an example for all the women who want to succeed and to link both the business life and family life, because I really think that if you want something, if you really want something, you can do it.
So, Silvia, would you like us to tell us what are the advantages of using BIM, as it is your daily job, in our industry, and specifically in the building site?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are a lot. The progress is made in the tunneling sector, made this field one of the really most advanced in civil engineering. These improvements are not only from a technical viewpoint, but also from a digital viewpoint, to which BIM certainly makes a great contribution, although still many progresses have to be made. With BIM, indeed, it's possible to obtain advantages in the various phases of a project, that is design, construction, or maintenance of the assets. Specifically, on site, the collaboration typical of a federated model can support a lot of things, like the detection of collisions between objects, the verification of the positioning, and also the range of action of, for example, systems in a site, the optimization of planning and organization of resources. Moreover, thanks to the managing of all information in 3D in one platform where all the data are stored, there is a better exchange of information with the contractors, for example, on the site. And I cannot forget the execution of simulations of site conditions and accidents, even with the use of virtual reality technology, from which we can evaluate the rescue, the fire prevention measures, and the space needed for the management of the operations on the site. All these are just examples of a wider list of advantages that BIM can provide to avoid, or at least reduce, the problems in a site, and to avoid the rework, and while lowering costs, the time needed for the execution, and to increase safety, reliability, and to add also value to the client.
I see. And what interaction is there between the work developed with digital tools in the office and the production side? I think it's very distant one from the other. So it is possible to get a feedback in BIM environment about the correctness of the construction on site.
Mm-hmm.
So how
we can reduce this distance. It's not that far. But this interaction, we can use a platform, for example, that combines mobile technologies, the construction site, with a cloud-based collaboration reporting, putting critical information into the hands of those in the field. With the digital tool, for example, people working on the site can use some checklists online to improve the quality assurance and the quality control, and to communicate with the BIM team, addressing issues to specific experts who can take care of correcting them and send back a digital solution through that common data environment. In this way, there is a fluent and very direct passage of data from the model to the point of construction and back again, since the building model can be dynamically updated as the work and the operation progress on the site. And using real-time BIM tools, construction firms can improve their performance, replacing traditional paper-based methods with a more standardized field management that goes right to the point of the construction. And Francesca, I would like to know from you, I know that there are a few women doing my job with BIM, but what about women in constructions, in your role and in construction sites?
Okay, in the last few years, the number of women in apical role have certainly increased. At the beginning, you saw women only in the administrative part or the external relation. Now you have many women in both boards and in the going a little bit lower in the technical offices. For instance, our company try to employ a lot of women, and I can say that they can work really well in the technical office. In our company, we have one woman who is a technical director, and now we'll have, I think, the first one in Italy, a woman who is starting a construction site, a tunneling construction site in Calabria, which will be the site engineer. So she will be in charge of the entire site. And it will be a tough work for her, but she was very stubborn in obtaining it, and I wanted to give her my trust and to let her do it. So I think it will be a very interesting experiment, and because I told her there will be a lot of some problems, some bias from both colleagues or partners or subcontractors, but I didn't have any doubt about letting her do it. As I told you, I'm pretty sure that if you really want something, you can do it. So.
That's a wonderful thing, really, your message. And
yes.
Yeah, you talked about the problems on the site. What are the main issues for a woman working in an execution field?
Okay, in this case, it's not just the execution field, it's only the region which is difficult. So she has to be concerned about also the external relation. But the problems, first of all, the bias, as I told you, because she will have to fight against them, and she will need to be much more prepared than everyone else. And I think that there could be also physical stress, because she should be working almost. I mean, the site will be open 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. So the physical stress will be a lot, and then all the relationship with subcontractors and workers that will need to trust her and to appoint her as a leader, which will not be simple at the beginning, but I'm pretty sure that she's very prepared and stubborn, as I said, so she will be perfect in this role. On the contrary, what I see in positive terms is that as I told you, as women have to demonstrate that their preparation is much higher. She will be perfectly on the technical part. She will be perfectly on the technical point of view. And women are more sensitive about also environment and health and safety. So this is, on the contrary, this is what I think it's positive also about having her there.
That's very good to hear. So congratulations to the Sanctis Costruzioni, and to her, all of our best wishes for this work. So indeed, it was an interesting confront between the two of you, one from behind the computer and one work site, or at least watching the designs and all the projects coming alive. And the next woman that will be talking, it gives us another point of view. It is the one by Amy Carter, assistant engineer at Arcadis UK. So Amy works in the water management and resilience department. So tell us, Amy, is there sun or is it a rainy day in England?
It's just sort of in the middle. It's a bit cloudy, but it's not as hot as it was when we spoke last time, so things are on the up.
English weather, we see.
Yeah.
Good. So, Amy, tell us a bit about what's your job like?
Sure, yeah. So let me just click the right buttons and I will show you some pictures. Can you see my screen fine?
Just give us a minute. On the technical side, we are checking if everything is good. Okay, now we see it.
Excellent.
You can start.
Great. So yeah, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's been really interesting so far, so I'm really glad to be here and talk. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the sort of technical side of my job and share one specific project that I've been working on recently with you, which is something that's quite close to my heart and also which I think is quite representative of the work that we are doing in my team in the UK. So I'll start with a little bit of an introduction to my team. So as Martina said, I work in the water management team. We focus specifically on civil engineering for things like canals, rivers, reservoirs, and other sorts of water related things. And up here in the north of England, so I'm up in Leeds, and we work very closely with our major client, who is the Canal and River Trust. They are responsible for all of the canals and rivers, which you can see on the map there highlighted in blue. So we've got our work cut out for us. And we've been working with them now for 6 years. We've just had our contract renewed for another 5 years, which is excellent news. And on the slide there, there's just a few of the services which we provide to them. So the project that I wanted to talk to you about today was, as I said, a project which is close to my heart and also close to my home, which is where that star is on the screen. It's the Rochdale Canal, and it's just outside of Manchester. So these pictures, which you can see, are from last year, early last year before the pandemic hit. We were hit by 2 consecutive very large storms in the UK, and it caused a lot of damage, as you can see. And this specific project, if you can see on this picture on the right hand side here, there is a river which burst its banks, and all of the water then went over top to the banks and went into the canal, and basically just ripped out a whole load of the structures along the canal. And the canals in the UK are really historic infrastructure. Most of them have been there for about 200 years. So there's some really important and well-loved assets along these canals. So as an emergency repair, we got invited to come out. We met the team on site to survey the damage, and basically their brief to us was to not just repair things like for like, as we would normally do with a historic structure, but to really improve the resilience, because there's a recognition now that these flood events are just going to get more frequent and more severe with climate change. So one of the things that we are really trying to focus on is improving the resilience of these structures and making sure that we are protecting communities now and also communities in the future from the effects of climate change. So I won't read out the whole slide, but just some key points. So those value drivers there, which I talked about, obviously the first one was resilience, protecting these historic structures. A lot of them are covered under UK law, protected under UK law. We also wanted to make sure that we were encouraging active travel for the communities. There's a lot of villages that live along the canal and they use them as cycle paths, or you know, people take them go for walks along there, and we wanted to make sure that we're making those as accessible as possible. And yeah, it was a hard slog. It was a complicated project, as you can imagine, but through all working together and sort of all working towards that common goal at the end, then I'm really proud that we delivered it on time, within budget. And unfortunately, we have had several storms since then, but fortunately, everything is still where it should be. So a big success, I think.
Well, it's a great case, the one that you presented, and also an interesting approach to the problem that you had and the solution that you gave. So actually, it makes me think of the goals that Arcadis has set in its strategy, the next 3-year strategy that goes under the name of maximizing impact. So how is that related to your job? How are you maximizing impact through your job?
Sure, yeah. So I think one of the reasons why I chose this project was because it really does tie in well, actually, with this new strategy. So for those of you who aren't in Arcadis and who aren't aware, this is our new sort of strategy, and it's focused on these 3 prongs. So the first of all, sustainable solutions, which obviously we've just talked about. We're doing a lot of work in this area, making sure that we are sort of, you know, building better for future generations. It's not just about having a quick fix now, and it's no longer just about doing things for the cheapest or the quickest solution. You know, we're trying to really make a big impact in that sense. Another thing is our digital leadership. So obviously everybody now, you know, everything is connected to the internet. We're all using data all the time, and it's the construction industry is so typically like traditional and a bit old-fashioned, and so we are trying to sort of make it our mission to use all this new technology that's available to us in the most beneficial way. So we're using things like GIS, the geographical information systems. I've recently done some 3D modeling of one of these historic structures, which was really interesting. And yeah, just using our sort of asset knowledge and helping our clients to tap into that and help them predict, you know, where they're going to need to spend their money in the future. And then lastly, the focus and scale. So this is again something which has been tricky in our team, because every single project that we work on is quite unique. And obviously, you know, we've seen in manufacturing and things, there's a lot of efficiencies that can be gained from standardizing and rolling out the same solutions. And that doesn't always work for us on a macro scale, but on a micro scale, that is something that we're working on. So, you know, taking very small elements of a design and replicating them so that the client knows what they're getting and they get that economy of scale, and also then it simplifies their maintenance for the future. So yeah, all of those 3 things come together in our job, and I think that it really sort of just fulfills our criteria as a company, which is improving quality of life. You know, that is the meaning behind everything that we do. I think my team and everybody that I've met in the company understands our responsibility that we have to not just to our clients, but to our communities and to future generations. And it's through this new strategy and sort of taking this more global approach rather than small individual approach, then yeah, that is how we can maximize our impact. And yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out of the next 3 years.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see it. So thank you very much for grounding all those information in something that sometimes it's, we talk about a lot about sustainability, innovation, digitalization, but it's really hard to put those things into something that is practical, concrete in the work that we do every day. So thank you very much for bringing this case to us. So both sustainability and innovation are drivers that need a flexible approach. Flexibility is something that we already heard in some of the speakers' speeches that we had already. But I would like now to welcome Angelica Venturi, Project and Tender Manager, and she will talk about something more. She will tell us something more about flexibility. So Angelica, welcome. And what is flexibility for an engineer?
Thank you, Martina, for having me here. So yes, well, if you think of engineering, flexibility is probably not the first thing that would pop up to your mind. In fact, I bet that if you think of an engineer, you will have the image of someone very rigid, rigorous, precise, someone always referring to codes, regulations, and I cannot say this is not true. It is for sure true, but it is only a part of our job. In fact, as Irene said before, engineers are problem solvers and thinkers by default. And the work is to test the limit of what we perceive technologically possible. Being an engineer is all about achieving a careful balance between logic and critical thinking, creativity, attention to detail, and passion for change. So when you look at engineering from this perspective, I think it is quite straightforward to realize why flexibility is a key concept in every engineer's professional life. Also, actually, flexibility is something we have all got familiar with recently. The pandemic has forced us to be flexible in many ways, both in our private and our professional life. If we think how our way of working has changed in only 1 year, and how the smart working, or better, the working from home, as I prefer to call it, has been drastically accelerated, becoming our new normal. And in this occasion, we have learned that we can be efficient and we can target great results even if we're not physically in our offices, even through virtual team meetings. And this is one of the very few positive things that COVID brought us, because it would have otherwise taken, I think, years to get to the same results, at least in some sectors. But going back to our specific case of engineering, so when we talk about flexibility and engineering in these terms, I think we cannot avoid to mention another concept, which is also a key factor in the professional life of a career of engineer, as described so far. And I'm talking about resiliency, which also Amy mentioned. And I know this is something that we've heard so many times in the last year, used in different contexts, sometimes in a very mainstream way, and let me say this, sometimes just as a trendy word in some sentences. However, for us engineers, especially maybe for the ones that, like me, have a background in structural engineering, this is a very well-known concept, which we get familiar with since our university studies, and which basically accompanies us throughout our entire professional life in many, many ways. In fact, in order to face all the challenges we are called to deal with every day, what we need to do? We need to adapt, we need to evolve, we need to innovate, we need to change our point of view, and we need to look at things differently in order to always find the most efficient solution to a new problem. And I think that this is particularly true when it comes to the big challenges our world is facing today, like, as Amy again was saying, the climate change crisis or digital transformation, because now, probably more than ever, the roles of the engineer is really crucial in giving the right direction to these changes. And that's why I like to define ourselves as the invisible superheroes, which is the topic of the INWED 2021, because we are in charge of shaping this society we live in, and we contribute to make the world a better place, as long as we can, of course.
Thank you very much. So you gave us a general overview, also citing some of the main events of the last year, COVID-19, but one that is not new but seems more and more high on the agenda is climate crisis. So flexibility is very important for the future. But what about your past? How is flexibility part of your own experience, your experience as an engineer and as a woman?
Yeah. So flexibility, yes, it's a concept that fits well to my professional career as well. So I graduated in architectural engineering at Politecnico di Milano, and after I started in Paris in an architectural firm, I started working as structural engineer, first in Milan and then in London. All these first experiences required me to be very flexible and to adapt to various and different situations. For example, you can think about having to deal with people with different backgrounds and cultures than mine, the language, all the new local regulations, codes I had to learn, the way of working of different people, best practice, etc., etc. Of course, needless to say that despite these initial challenges, each of these experiences enriched me a lot. Then, when I joined Arcadis, my role developed further as I started working as project attendant manager and dealing with the coordination of integrated design of different kind of projects, as well as the commercial management of some clients. And these were all new challenges for me, especially because I was mainly involved in the design of logistic and industrial assets, something that was completely new to me, because my previous background was mainly in residentials, commercial, archistar buildings. So I had a new world to discover and to learn, new words like technical words, new regulations, but now this word has become one of my key expertise area. So, as you can see, my professional career has evolved and transformed during this year, following a path, a rising path, in which every achievement has been possible thanks to the experience that I gained in the previous steps. And in more than one occasion, I had to leave my comfort zone, learn new things, and embrace new challenges. So today, in fact, I would like to highlight the spectrum of possibilities and roles that engineering allows us nowadays. This is something that I do want to highlight. I am part of an e-mentorship program of Politecnico di Milano, consisting of one academic year email correspondence, where ex-alumni like me gives advices and share their experiences with current students. It's a really nice program. And one of the most common questions that I received from my mentees is, how did you understand which was the right path for you after graduation? And I always tell them that passion should be the key driver in informing this decision, but I also always like to tell them that it is completely fine to not have a clear professional path in mind as fresh graduates, because it is by making experience step by step that you can more easily define your own professional future. And considering also, if you think about considering how quickly the world is evolving, your future role may not even exist right now. And that is the reason why we need to be flexible and open, ready not only to adapt to changes, but mainly being the proactive promoters of innovation and of all kinds of improvements and changes that can affect positively people's quality of life.
I see. So thank you very much, Angelica, for your unique perspective on flexibility and on your life. So with all the speakers of today, we have touched so many points. We have touched their work, their path, their, all they've done, and also what they see in the future. So I would like to introduce the last two speakers of today that are Claudia Scarcella, RICS Italy Country Manager, and Valeria Carfora, Business Advisory Team Leader in Arcadis Italy. And they will be giving us two different perspectives on the past, present, and future of women in engineering. So first, let's know more about them. So Claudia, how did you become country manager in RICS Italy?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this very enthusiastic panel of women. I really enjoyed that. I suspect I've been some late granny of the group because I think I'm the oldest one. Yeah, it's been a long journey, as I used to say. I'm happy here to be honored to represent the 650 members of RICS in Italy. For those who don't know RICS, we are one of the leading professional bodies in the world. So we have 134,000 members in 148 countries. So we have this global reach in the profession. So we are representing professionals from every single area of the real estate for the built and natural environment. So what we provide, we work for the public interest in providing international standards for more technical, more professional standards, guidelines, rules for completion, for helping the profession, for helping professionals in developing their job every day. And we represent all the professionals, all dispersed in this area, in the area of the built and natural environment. So the best is that to have this international and global view of what's happening worldwide, and the best experiences, best technical, top leadership, all the mega trends and mega themes that are going on in the world. So that's very interesting position. As I say, it was a long journey, and then was enthusiastic, difficult, but interesting journey. And then starting by chance in telecommunication engineering, and I graduated at the end in a very big company in America in telecommunication equipment and engineering, and I graduated at the University of California in San Diego in management engineering. And when I come back to Italy, and it was 1990, and I discovered that my faculty was not yet available in the university, engineering university, like Polytechnic or other engineering school in Italy. So that was the first challenge. Second challenge, I had a master in facility management in the USA. And when I come to Italy, facility management was completely unknown. So, IFMA, which is the International Facility Management Association, opened the first office in Italy in 1994. So, I was lucky to work for international companies, now in America mainly, and North European companies that gave me the possibility to work in the engineering environment. I have changed many roles, many markets, many positions. When we have this unique line, it is the fil rouge is the way the built environment, the management and the development of buildings and portfolios. So I've been a facility manager for inside companies, facility manager in service providing companies. I've been asset, property, and facility manager in funds, and also followed many developments for investing funds, mainly in the area of retail, not residential, more retail and logistics. So that was the way that brought me to join RICS at the end in 2019. I'm now at 38 years of working experience in this market. And this is really a challenge because we are now representing all the real estate market. We are caring for all the real estate sectors and development standards, and try to positive influence the market to help the profession to develop a profession for the next generation, for assuring that the profession stays in demand and stays for the future generation, like you or some of the colleagues I've seen here. I've seen, many words that are, calling in my mind the old times, let's say. Like we say, when Francesca was talking about the challenges that new lady will have in the construction site, the trust from suppliers, contractors, and it was my very challenge when I started the profession, when I started in Italy to go into the construction sites, and they were asking, where is the engineer? And say, it's me. And so that I know where it is, and it is impressive to see how times are changing, but not changing so fast as we would like to see. So flexibility, resilience, are in every day working for women in engineering, and because balancing private and professional life, being recognized, being considerate, being demonstrated that you are clever, that you are competent, that you are as much as a man. So we see, I'm also a trainer. I'm also working for Politecnico Milan. I'm one of the first teachers in the masters in the real estate master. And we see that percentage. The presence of young women in engineering is growing. At my time, when I graduated engineering, women engineers were 5% of the total of the university inscripted. Now we are at 28% is the average in Italy, and 30% at the Politecnico, more or less. So improving, but not that much improving. We see that we are booming in the architectural and digital areas and design areas of engineering. But when it comes to mechanical, electrical, other special, there now our presence is dropping. So 80% are still men there. So, and when coming to the position in the market for your young positioning, they are okay. Because 90% of engineers are employed, but gender pay gap is still there. So many challenges that from the old to the new situation, and I'm happy to be a sort of mentor for young generation, for young engineering women, and helping as RCS in improving and helping the next generations.
So thank you very much for your throughout view of what was the past and present and the future of the profession. So I want now to go to Valeria, that is one of our engineers in Arcadis, and she has maybe a more Italian perspective, but I don't want to spoiler anything, so I let her talk about her own experience and what she thinks about working now in Italy and what she sees in the future.
Okay, thank you a lot, Martina, and I'm really happy to join this event. So yes, I am a civil engineer, and my work experience, but I can say my professional experience, began at the university in Rome. But to be more precise, my experience started with the decision to make the university in engineering. So at the end of high school, I really faced a difficult decision because I didn't feel prepared for it, and I had the feeling and the conviction that my skills, my abilities were completely inadequate to undertake a study and a work mainly attended by men and considered as not for everyone. So my biggest fear was, but what if I'm not bright enough to study in engineering? Perhaps it appears to be a crazy insecurity, but that was exactly what I was thinking, and I'm almost sure that is depending by an implicit bias that affect our gender. So as somebody else also told. So despite the lack of consideration that often shown also by professor, that is mainly a man, obviously, I faced at the end exam after exam, and I try to transform my worries into objective result that allows me to change my own beliefs on myself and build more confidence. So I think that it's not a coincidence that only after the completion of my bachelor's degree in environmental engineering, I decided to face a new challenge and change the address of the degree in civil engineering, because at the beginning I thought the environmental was more complex. It was a terrible mistake because at the end the bachelor's degrees are very similar, so the difficulty was the same. I must to add supplementary exam, so it was really stressful because also in that point I thought, but I can do it. Yes, I've done it. So it was really good to me because I think that the degree experience provide me a solid background in many technical topics, but the most essential lesson that I learned was the general, and I also can say theoretical approach, because engineering is not only technical, but it's also theoretical, especially in Italy. And this allowed me to develop a really flexible mindset. So I think that this attitude helped me in the workplace following to deal with technical sector unrelated to my studies. So I became a team leader in a business area that I didn't know previously, and I think that was it was for me a really goal to me. So at the end, I can say to me that I will never consider myself and yourself unfit to something, because if you want and you can do it, I think that is something that we always heard, but it's really the truth. And I think that the best suggestion, as told by Angelica, is choose a career path that you are really passionate about and that which you enjoy it. And at the end, you can face each critical step with commitment and flexibility, and the result will confirm your skills, your abilities, regardless of any conviction of how matter it can be. So not be afraid and go ahead, and it will go fine. Just this. This is my experience.
As Angelica said, you can build on your experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can pass from one experience to other and build your way to. I think that it's still a long way. I mean, in Italy, respect to the rest of some other countries, America and whatever, for women in top position in companies. I mean, it's like that of very. I'm happy to say that the real estate environment in Italy is one of the areas and one of the sectors where this top level experience and top level presence of women has highly improved in the last 10 years. So I'm very happy of that skill. But of course, there is still very long way to do, and I'm happy to see our young professionals, young engineering women like here that they are building their work with passion, with talent and whatever. So what will we say always? I mean, in trying to defend in the market that you have to be selected and you have to make your career because you are the cleverest, not because you are a woman or a man, but because you are the best. So that's when you point on your talent, on your competency in learning, in developing and building up your career. That's my point of view.
I see. So now I would like to ask Valeria, would you like more safeguards, like more protections, just because you are a woman? That is very provocative, I know.
Yeah, No, I don't think, because I think that as also said by Claudia, the timing is changing and we are experiencing this. So I think that more than the safeguard, we need to be sure about ourselves and go ahead just this. So no, I don't think that more safeguard is necessary. Just more confidence, because I think that women are critical, we can say always critical about ourselves. So I think that is the best way to improve, because if we are not critical, we can't improve ourselves. But some confidence is necessary to face some little risk and improve our goals. Yeah.
Sorry.
And thank you very much for sharing your experience. So as we've heard from all the speakers that I would like to thank again for their participation, there is still room for improvement. We already did big steps toward equal pay and equal recognition in workplace and in the society. So the theme of this year INWED event is Engineering Heroes. So of course, the women that we saw here don't have a mask, don't have a cap. They are not super women. They don't go out at night. They do their work every day with passion, commitment, flexibility, and many other qualities that I cannot explain again, because their words were more than I could ever say, and their experiences speak for themselves. So I think I represent the thought of all the speakers, and I hope of the participants of this event, by saying that to be a hero is to deliver result to one's fullest potential and to one's fullest passion. So it's really beautiful to see all these women doing a job they like, and to facing some biases, some stereotypes. And although finding these difficulties, these obstacles during the path, just going on and proving themselves, proving to be good, deserving, and just as good as engineer as they are. There's no other way. So women are still required, though, as we heard from many speakers, and to have and to put higher effort to be recognized as competent workers in comparison to men, to engineers, because that's a question that I also put myself to. What is an engineer? We always think, I think, just even me, of a man, and that's it. But after recognizing this gap, after recognizing that we mainly think of a male profession, the first step that we have to do for ourselves, even me, and for everybody that works in engineering or not, for society as well, is to educate. And this is something that we try to do in today's event. So there is now time for some questions. I see a very interesting and actually very straight question to the point that maybe we didn't say. Actually, I would like to ask some women, not only in Italy, but I'm gonna read the question first. Is gender pay gap an issue for women in engineering, or is it a field where social fairness is more advanced and at a better stage than other industries or sectors? So we have women representing not only Italy, but other countries. So I would like to ask Silvia Gioja maybe to answer first this question.
Yes, I think that to make a comparison, you should make a comparison between people with the same experience, the same background, the same training, the same skills, not only hard, but also the soft ones. Which is a bit difficult. Indeed, each person is a separate case with specific skills and so on. So therefore, a comparison cannot be made if the boundary conditions are not the same. As for me, my experiences, perhaps I was lucky, but in similar conditions, I did not find so big differences with my colleagues. So
Well,
I don't know if from other countries there is another view on that, but mine is quite positive.
Well, that's good to hear. So I would like to go actually to Amy. This is England is coming again to us to tell us what is happening there. Amy, what is the situation over there?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting question. It's a really important thing to talk about. And I know that in the UK, we do have a gender pay gap in engineering. It is smaller than the average for the whole country. So you could take that obviously as a positive, and maybe we are, doing better than other industries in pushing forward. But I have to say that I agree with Silvia in that it's very difficult to draw comparisons. An engineer is not just a set of technical capabilities. We are whole people with varied and diverse experiences, and all of those things culminate into making us how good we are at our job. So yeah, it's a difficult comparison to draw in the first place. And secondly, I would say that, the situation in the UK at the moment, so women in engineering are, I think, 11% in the UK at the moment. There is a big drive to get more women in, and there's a lot going on in younger years in schools to sort of promote STEM subjects to young girls and things. And it's a long-term challenge. So, you can't just take a snapshot in time and say, right, this is the situation, because all the time we're promoting this to young girls, and those young girls are coming up, they're becoming young women in engineering, and they're obviously going to be in lower paid positions. And it's going to take a long time for that to trickle through, and then for us to get, a lot of women in the higher positions. Until we've got, equal representation in general, then I don't think it's realistic to expect there to not be a gender pay gap. So yeah, I'd be interested to know what the situation is like in Italy.
Yeah, so now I think we'll have to ask Silvia Furlan, that it's actually a woman in a very high position, but what is it like in Italy? Tell us more.
I can tell you the perspective from my company. We are not a huge company as Arcadis is. We are 100 of people in Italy and 100 of people in Germany. We are a family company. So there's also this familiar approach, if you want, and the numbers are helping us in really balancing things. What I can say is that, yes, of course, everybody is different. Yes, we have salary range, but we do not have any difference because of the position in the salary in men and women. I have to say, I look very carefully to this. I'm lucky to be in a position of being the managing director, and so being directly involved in these issues. And it's something that I'm very, very sensitive about. What I can say is that it's very difficult for us to find women in the engineering world, still in the university. In particular, in several disciplines, there are not enough women as students. As it was said before, maybe in environment or hydraulics, it is considered a kind of discipline that can be not easier, but closer for women, while if you go to structural engineering, geotechnical, tunneling, or streets and railways technologies, it's more difficult. So first step is to find a way to have more girls choosing engineering faculty. And then also middle and senior women for middle and senior position. It's quite difficult for me to find them. It's not because I'm looking for women or for men. I'm looking for skills, experiences, attitude, point of view. It's the diversity I was talking about before. It's not a diversity only about gender. It's gender, experience, national nationality, point of view, competencies, skills, attitude. This is what, it's a kind of melting pot that we are looking for. And women is part of this. What we did is also to share with some companies that are friends and partners of us some good practices, because it's a topic for every engineering company in Italy and abroad as well. So what we are looking for is to find common experiences through a network of other engineering companies to really find our way to support women in the engineering field.
Sorry, we had a small technical problem, sorry. So actually, thank you, Silvia, for your perspective. So I would like maybe to ask one of our colleagues, that is Angelica, what is your perspective on what our colleagues have said, or what other speakers have said?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything they've said, especially about the fact that, for example, talking about Arcadis, maybe it is true that in general, I can also speak about my experience so far. I didn't experience a big gender gap, but as far as I know, I think that more or less the salary that I had was comparable to the one of other male engineers in my same position, and this is something that I can relate, I think, to Arcadis Italia as well. But probably what the real question, as Amy also said, is how many engineers are on high level in terms of management, because as Amy was saying, when a lot of engineers now or a lot of women are working in the field of engineering, but when you go up on the hierarchy, the number of engineers is always less. And I would like to say that actually in Arcadis Italy, the situation is really good, because if you look at our top management, quite a few women are there. But generally speaking, I think this is the really good question. So how many women engineers can fulfill relevant roles in their career? So yeah, that's my point of view.
So thank you very much, Angelica, for giving us another perspective. So of course, I think that talking about what has been told by you, that is, lower people in high positions, it's something that I would say requires a lot of talking, maybe another event. But so this glass ceiling needs to be broken, and we maybe will have another chance to discuss about it as people that live inside this actually situation. But already, thank you very much to all the participants and to all the speakers that I would like to thank again for attending and listening to these wonderful engineers that happen to be women. So thanks also very, very much to Arcadis Radio Italy, guys, for starting this initiative. And live, they are coming, or at least is coming Alessandro, Ale, as he wants to be known. And please come and greet our audience.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. First of all, congratulations to everyone. It was a real pleasure. So I'm very happy that the radio is being used for this event, which is why it was created, the radio. For us, for everyone, in my opinion, knowledge of our workplace and the people who make it great all over the world is essential. So I would like to thank Martina for holding up the name of the radio today.
Thank
and
you.
Thanks all of the female engineers in the world. I leave the floor to Martina to the final greetings. So thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Ale, and thanks also to the guys that are not here today, but we would like to thank them for all the support on the work that they are doing inside the company. So the last remarks are today, thank you again very much for attending. The recording will be available on YouTube soon, so feel free to reach out to Arcadis and all the participants for further information. Don't forget to keep in contact with us and with the people you've heard today. Some of them are already in top positions, but some of them are still growing. So I would like to remind all to support all your colleagues and especially women, because it is a difficult path and there are difficult challenges and difficult decisions that women have to make. And maybe it is one of the reasons why sometimes women, we didn't touch it today because it's a question that it's a very specific for women, but sometimes women have to decide between family and work. So let this be not the future of engineer, a decision to be made between the two of them, but let's consider engineers as for their competencies and their work that they are already doing and proving great. So thank you very much again. See you next year. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.